Hey guys, what is up? Unrested back again. Finally, a bit more caught up on sleep here in Japan now that I've adjusted to the schedule again. You've been here about a week and a half now and just kind of seeing the sights and enjoying some of the old places I used to go through. But let's get off of that topic and on to today's topic of covering one of the Jvloggers who most mysteriously disappeared. And there's a lot that have disappeared in the past, just kind of like stopped making videos or slowly, I guess, took a step back from the internet. But this is one where I've seen requests across multiple communities asking what happened to the person. And I think this is because this video creator shot up in subs faster than anyone else I ever see or ever saw just come up and gain subs in the Jvlog community. I think if this person was still around today, they'd still be massive. And, as unfortunate as it is that people leave the community, I think it's understandable. I think people have a YouTube life and then they have a real life, and by far real life is far more important. That person is Minx, and Minx was one of the very first Jvloggers all the way back. She started in 2013, and she mostly just had a various variety show of multiple different vlogs while she was here in Japan. I believe she was here as a student when she first came here, and she was learning through the cultural and traditional visa that she was on. And that usually covers like cultural classes like that. I think you don't get as much of an education in learning the Japanese language, but you start to learn a little bit about the history and stuff like that. And while she was here doing that, she made videos such as learning Japanese with Minx. And I'd say overall, those videos, very, very well watched, very high view rate and subscriber count because let's be honest, she was a pretty girl on YouTube. That's how she started, and she had a really great personality for starting her channel. She was one of these people that as soon as they got on camera, she had a real sense of her own personality and presented clearly and with a lot of upbeat attitude. She also had the goth look, which was for that time on YouTube not as common. Now there's every type of variety of genre you could possibly imagine, but I believe she was one of the very first pretty goth girls that was on YouTube making videos, and her unique niche was doing Japanese stuff because she was here in Japan and she was teaching the language. Although I remember some of her videos, the pronunciation she would teach was pretty off kilter. I would say my Japanese is pretty bad. I speak like a kindergartner for the most part, but for her, it was like she would teach one word at a time. And I remember one of the lessons was how to say I in Japanese, which is just me. And she would overly pronounce like the H sound and be like mehu or something like that. I was just like, oh, where's she getting like this weird H sound from, and this word me just for eyes. But I mean, at the same time, her channel wasn't trying to get some kind of clout as like the premier Japanese learning channel. She wasn't the Ken Cannon of teaching Japanese, and we'll cover Ken Cannon in another video, another long forgotten Jvlogger who taught Japanese on YouTube. I think she was just there more so to be a personality, and that's what she did, and she did it great. I think she reached around 500,000 subscribers back when all of us were like nobodies, when we were like 10,000 subscriber channels. She was up there almost about to get one of the first sets of million subscribers on YouTube. She was blowing up. She was huge. She was going steady from 2013 to 2014, covering these vlogs that would cover a little bit of everything from Japan. Her going around to like matsuris, eating the food around Japan, talking about different cultural and traditional things, teaching a little bit of the language. And then suddenly in 2015, nothing. She stops making videos. She stops responding to everybody. She stops putting out any kind of content. She doesn't update her Facebook, MySpace. MySpace was still a thing back then. And any other social media she had, Twitter, everything. Her Twitter profile locked down into private. And there was a lot of what happened. For a while, the conspiracy theories came out, and I remember seeing one over and over again about how she had died in a car crash. And no matter who said this, whenever I would look for a source on where they found this, it led to nothing. I would go through like old internet archives. There was other things about her being kidnapped and stuff like that. I looked for anything on that. No such thing. And I remember thinking this was like a huge mystery back then. But at the same time, part of me felt like, I'll bet you it's sort of an Occam's razor situation where, the simplest answer is usually the best answer for these kind of situations. But what was surprising to see is there was even other YouTubers out there outside of the Jvlogger sphere putting out any kind of call to arms to find Hana Minx. There was even, if you can believe it, Oni-san. If you don't remember Oni-san, or if he is before your time, he was a huge creep, is still a huge creep on YouTube. According to him and Hana Minx would call each other at least once a week, and then suddenly she stopped calling him. My guess is once she figured out his true personality, that's the main reason she stopped talking to Oni-san. I think anybody who figured out who that guy is really in real life would stop talking to him right away. So I don't want you to associate anything with Oni-san and Hana Minx. I don't think she has any kind of connection to him anymore, and I think their time talking on YouTube was very brief, but he was one of the first people to put out a call to arms to try and find Hana Minx. And then I started to see it even on like some of the horror channels I used to watch, which would be like 5 missing YouTubers who were never found again. And she'd be included in things like Kenny Veach. And if you don't know about Kenny Veach, he was a YouTuber who would go out exploring like really vast amounts of desert and caves that would go on for miles and miles. And one day he just disappeared into a cave called the M Cave. And she would be on these like searches for these missing YouTubers that were actually like for real missing, like as in there was like missing case files out on them. And again, from my research, there was never anything out there about a police report or anything that she was missing. So again, I didn't associate any crime, any kind of murder, any kind of kidnapping or anything like that with Hana Minx because she wasn't on any of these police profiles or anything like that. But I would see her pop up in these type of videos where it'd be like 5 missing YouTubers never seen again. And it was just ridiculous to add her to things like that. Like I said, most of us in the Jvlogging community did just figure she decided to take a step back from it. One thing you do start to notice when you've done this for quite a while in Japan is that a lot of the students who do come over to Japan, they make their 1 or 2 videos and they get really excited about being in Japan. But once they finish schooling and they move on with a career and real life and stuff like that, they of course leave doing videos about Japan behind because that's like part of their life that's in the past. So of course they leave the channel in the past as well. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's really quite understandable. I think you'll find that that's the end of the story for a lot of these missing Jvloggers that I'll talk about in the future, where they came here, made some great videos as a student, but once they moved on with real life, that was it. They're done. So there was actually somebody who did know what happened to her. Now, the only thing I can say is like I don't have paperwork or solid source proof that I can show on video proving to you that this is what really happened. But give me a break, man. Give me a flake, man. Victor did let me know one day. He said, the answer is really simple. Hana Minx got married. And apparently, from what I understand, and I could have some of the information on this a little bit off, but the full context is she got married. She got married to someone in Hollywood who was a director, and they pretty much wanted to make their life private after that because, as you can probably imagine, anybody and everybody in Hollywood is constantly followed around by paparazzi if they even get slightly popular. Their life becomes so public that it's to a point of obsession and being annoying. And I think nobody would blame anyone who wanted to private all their social media to escape that wild circus of paparazzi. And that's pretty much what happened with Hana Minx. Once she married a director who was doing quite well in Hollywood, her life was pretty complete. Did she do anything else with her career as far as YouTube was concerned? Not that any of us know of. She has never come back onto YouTube. The most recent thing anybody ever saw from her was an update on her Facebook profile, which I have a feeling might have just been hacked or taken over. And it said, Hana Minx is a cartoon character who escaped an anime so that she could write her own life story. It said something goofy like that, which I don't know why suddenly in 2021 she decided to update it with that. But another weird thing that did happen was every single video she had on her channel was deleted in about 2019, 2020, and any other trace of her being on YouTube was mostly erased as far as any account that she controlled. Of course, there's still collab videos and stuff like that out there of her, and they still exist to this day. You can type in the name Hana Minx and she comes up right away. But for the most part, she has mostly been deleted from the internet. The last thing that was heard about her was that she had a baby and is now a happy mom, still married, and probably still living a great life. Maybe somewhere out in Hollywood. Maybe they've moved, who knows? But she's probably doing quite well for herself. And that was the end of her story. There's no crazy disappearance, no crazy kidnapping, no murders, no car crashes. I'm happy to report that her YouTube career ended with her simply starting IRL life. You know what I mean? And again, like, this is something you should expect from a lot of the people who start channels, especially when they're just young students. You have a lot of time when you're a student in college. You have a lot that you want to share with the world. You're still experimenting with what your personality is. You're putting a lot out there as far as what you want to show off from Japan while you're here for a short time. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think she really had a talent for what she did on YouTube and really came across as one of the first great personalities in the Jvlogging community. And it's great that our whole community is associated with her. I'm still glad to this day that she was part of that community. It's one of the brighter spots in the history of Jvlogging. Other than that, there hasn't been much heard from her ever since. And again, my only source that she got married was Give Me a Break Man, Give Me a Flake Man, telling me about that. I have heard from a couple other creators, and if you go and check videos about her online now, most have been updated to say, yes, she actually was married and, you know, took most of herself offline after, you know, wanting to make her life more private and stuff like that. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I can totally understand why people do stuff like that. If she was still around today, would she be, I think she'd be massive. I think her channel would be blowing up. I think she'd still be massively popular. She really came to YouTube with the right personality, the right spirit, and the way to present stuff properly, and brought nothing but good vibes. So I still think she'd be flourishing today. But again, I totally understand why she wouldn't want to continue to do YouTube while also raising a family. It makes sense. If you have any other questions about other YouTubers or anything for the future of YouTube, as far as my channel is concerned with other Jvloggers I'm going to be covering, feel free to let me know in the comments. The other thing I want to let you know is that I'm currently compiling a list of Jvloggers who have kind of disappeared off the internet or have stopped making videos here in Japan. If you can think of anybody you want to see covered, please let me know in the comments down below. I want to give a shout out to all my members. Usually I call out every single member while I'm making these videos. Unfortunately, today I'm limited on what I have with me right now. It's only my phone with me right now, so I don't have access to every single name that I usually read off at the end. So I'm sorry, members. This is going to be the one video where I have to accidentally skip covering all your names, but you're all appreciated, especially those new ones that just joined. I had one new one join just yesterday, and of course I I can't memorize all of them. I'm up to something like 46 now, which blows my mind. I can't believe I've got 46 members. But guys, you're so awesome. You rock. You're the best. Every little bit you do to follow and be a member helps out the channel a ton. If you yourself want to become a member, just hit that join button down below at the end of my video. But your subscription or view is always payment enough, and I really appreciate it. Again, please let me know in the comments down below what future Jvloggers you want to see covered. I'm, like I said, compiling a list, but I still need help. Once in a while, people send me a text about one where I'm just like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that one. That's another one I can add to the list. And there's some really interesting stories out there that I still need to cover. I hope you enjoyed the video today. And if you did, maybe you could leave me a like. Until next time, I've been Unrested, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.